Hello, my name is Lucas. This is a bit of lit, and I do believe it is Friday, which means it's time to do a Friday reads, and I have been doing my fair share of reading. How about that? Um, in the past week, I believe, I let me think. Yeah. The third day, I finished *The Stand* by Stephen King. A couple days ago, 4 days ago. Um, and that was really long. um, not very good. And, it was a post apocalyptic novel by Stephen King, I believe his third or so. Very, very early. I read the sort of re release, the extended version, not the original release, which would have been much shorter and maybe more worth my time. Not a very scary novel. Not something maybe I should have been reading at a time like this, given, it's Stephen King, it's supposed to be scary, and we live in horribly scary times. But it wasn't that scary. Best part was part one when the superflu virus was going around and setting up the world that the characters are going to inhabit, which is a motley crew of unlikely candidates to make it to Boulder, Colorado, and then fight the good fight, good versus evil, against Randall Flagg, who is a supernatural being who's made his claims out in Las Vegas. And, yeah, there's quite an explosive end there, isn't there? I think there's too much going on in the book because Randall Flagg is a supernatural character, and I don't think that this book needed that. There's a lot of things this book didn't need. Um, 1,000 plus pages was one of them. But, you know, there it is. I think I don't know how long the original release was. Probably, I'm hoping half the length. Because, anyway, it was just so much. I mean, you've got a post-apocalyptic world. 99.4% of civilization has collapsed, and the population has declined by 99.4% of all of humanity. And you've got good versus evil as a major theme here, which can be interesting. But then you've also got the supernatural being, and he is the embodiment of evil. And it's like, I don't think you really needed that. But that's just my feeling. A couple of days ago, on the 5th, I believe, I finished reading Inkspell by Cornelia Funk. I hope that's how you say her name. German author, young adult fantasy series. I finished Inkheart on the last day of last month to secure my victory in the reading race. And yeah, I've been getting off to a strong start. My opponent, because we're blowing everybody else out of the water, and we've made it not very fun for anybody else. But that's okay, because fun doesn't matter. Victory does. No. I am getting quite tired of reading fiction, admittedly. I have been reading a nonfiction book here and there at certain points, I haven't gotten very far into it. I would have finished it by now if I was reading it normally, because, like I said, I tend to read things straight through. But I've been trying to, read a little bit of nonfiction to appease myself so that I can stay sane with all this fiction I'm reading. But yeah, Inkspell, sequel to Inkheart, absolutely wild adventure. Dustfinger wants to go back to Inkheart, where he's from, the book, inside this book, um, to stay there. But he doesn't bring Gwen, and he goes to Orpheus, who is this seedy, sort of criminal kind of guy to get help. Farid is his apprentice and isn't brought into the book, and that book is sold to Bast, who was an underling for Capricorn, who was the main villain of the first book, and Farid wants to get help. So he goes to Maggie, the daughter of Mo, who they both have the power that Orpheus has to bring stories to life, basically. And yeah, it's just really good, wild adventure. But yeah, like after I finished that, I realized I have to start reading some nonfiction or I'm gonna completely burn out, which is how I was feeling at the end of last month, that I was really burning out because I had only read fiction the entire month. But yeah, I've been reading, oh, what is it called? Well, I keep putting off reading War and Peace because I know, Stephen King, the way he writes, it doesn't take a lot of brain power to try and comprehend it. He's just trying to tell you a story. The themes are pretty much, you don't have to think too hard for them. And yeah, he's a fast food kind of writer. I think he's referred to himself as much as like my writing is like Burger King or a Big Mac and fries or something. Um, for me, not very enjoyable. Not so much because of that. Just, I mean, yeah, he's just not very good. But I've been reading Stephen King's It as well. Oh my God, it's so long and so bad. um, I got about halfway through because I've been burning through this book uh, here and there. And, I've actually read this one before. Um, not all the way through because long Stephen King books and I just have not gotten along in the past. This is my third time trying to read it. I've gotten further than I've ever gotten before. Um, and I got to the part where they're, reunited in the library. Um, and it's just, oh, Bill uh, gets a little bit excited twice when it comes to Beverly, and he starts thinking about a time in their childhood, which I've heard about this scene in the book, not in the movies, not in the ABC miniseries. Um, and I was like, I wonder why I haven't seen that yet. So I looked it up. This is about halfway in the book, or maybe a little bit further, or I can't remember. Um, but the scene in question where all the boys, what's a euphemism we can use? Run a train on Beverly to bond and make like a blood bond kind of thing to bring them all closer together so that the monster, it can't. Uh, there was um I looked it up and I read that part, which is at the end of the book, which is not where I am. I'm not near the end. I've gotten pretty close, but I'm still quite far away. Uh, really questionable decision there to run a train on an 11-year-old, but they're all 11. But it's still weird. Why is this in a book? Anyway, I'm not there yet. I did read that. I skipped hundreds of pages, regrettably. Anyway, the nonfiction book that I've been talking about is. What is this? What is the exact name? I want to make sure I get it right. I'm about 30% of the way through, or about halfway, uh, I guess, because the last 30-40% is notes in the back. Oh, yeah, here we go. The Interrogation Rooms of the Korean War, The Untold History by Monica Kim. And it is about interrogation rooms during the Korean War, and it has given me a lot to chew on. Made me realize some things I had not considered, given that, for example, we had defeated Americans, that is, had defeated Japan and sort of dismantled their empire, their colonies, and there's a whole lot of political intrigue behind the acceptance of Japanese colonization by European powers and American powers before World War II. Anyway, Korea was one of the colonies, and after Japan lost and capitulated, they had to decolonize. And wouldn't you know it, who's coming in to be the world police to make sure things go smoothly, that a proper government is put in place, um, and U.S. hegemony reigns supreme. And, you know, it was just interesting to read because I had never thought about the decolonization aspect of that happened just a couple of years before, and how the U.S. came in like that. And you know, I don't actually know very much about the Korean War. This is mostly about the sort of inner politics of interrogation and prisoners of war and these kind of things, not the bigger picture of things leading up to it, though it does mention it and what happens in it. So I don't know those kind of things exactly, except hearsay and a little bit here and there. It's not that I'm ignorant of the Korean War, but I don't know everything. I don't know very much. So this is probably not a good book to start with, like I have, but thought I would give it a try. And yeah, it does make me realize, like, oh, these people are pawns in a game. But also that, you know, the Chinese and the Soviets got involved too. But I can see how, you know, the people of the Korean Peninsula could be manipulated one way or another, especially against America and the American Empire, given that you've kicked out one empire and now you're coming in. You know, and yeah, I will, when I finish it, you know, I'm only reading it a little bit at a time. It'll be a while before I finish it, but it's just, it's been a lot. I've got to go through some notes. I'm going to write a whole thing, and I'm really enjoying it. Quite strong language in it, not swear words or anything, but some of its assertions. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I can totally see the viewpoint. Anyway, it has been a nice, you know, I just read a couple pages a day. It's been a nice, refreshing thing to keep me sane with all this fiction I've been reading to take these quizzes. And I'm going to be reading a book that doesn't have a quiz. That will be Dominion, which is a collection of science fiction stories. I'm going to be doing a review on that very soon. Probably take a break from it. Won't finish it for a couple of days. Maybe. I mean, yeah, because I've got to do some work tomorrow. And yeah, I'll probably finish it Sunday. Yeah, because I want to start reading Dominion tomorrow and finish it on Sunday. Anyway, Yeah, it's a collection of short fiction of African writers, of African diaspora writers, African Americans, different kinds of speculative fiction from this broad range of people. And I'm looking forward to that. My friend did a review. I will put a link to it. It's he's got some good things to say. It looks like it's interesting, and that's it for my Friday reads. Yeah, Stephen King. Man, you know, if I don't know if Under the Dome, I know that's I think that's his last 1,000-page monster. But if that does have a quiz, I will be reading that before the end of the month, and then and then finally War and Peace. Eventually, I will get to War and Peace, and then I'm never reading Stephen King again. I just don't think I can do it, not even for a laugh. The Stand wasn't very funny. It wasn't very funny. Isn't very funny. Hasn't been funny. Under the Dome might, it might make me laugh. I don't know. But yeah, 16 and a half minutes. I think we're good there. Thank you. Goodbye.